Hi, I'm Jessica Clockman, and my project is the use of protein supplements and its effects on our diet. So, some things to keep in mind throughout this slideshow is what is protein and why does our body need protein? Where do we think the trend of protein supplements originated from? So, these are just awesome things to keep in the back of your mind while going through this slideshow, because I will be going over it later on as the slides go, but it's just something that you can keep in mind, kind of think to yourself what they might mean. If you don't know what they mean, then don't worry, because I will cover it throughout the rest of the slideshow. So protein supplements are any additions to a diet that help produce nutritional benefit as well as help produce muscle mass. And then the second one kind of ties into it, and it's the common use for protein supplements can be discovered in athletes. And this is due to the idea that some protein supplements are made for reducing the soreness in your muscles, because protein is used to help restore tissues and make it easier to get back into the gym the next day so that you continue to build that muscle mass, or just continue to go to the gym every day, whatever your goal might be. But protein supplements are mostly discovered in athletes because being an athlete means going to the gym and hitting goals, reaching specific needs for your body. So when looking at protein supplements, we can just see that mostly it is in athletes, and they are advertised mostly in athletes. So this is another way to think of how it might have come around to be more hyped up, is because it is advertised through celebrities or professional athletes, I might say. And then protein supplements, another common use is having protein supplements instead of eating a meal of foods that contain protein. And they basically have, people basically have this idea that it can make up for no meals or not enough protein in a meal by replacing it with a protein supplement or a protein-rich meal that involves protein supplements. And this is just another common use of protein supplements. So, all right, so this can just kind of make you think back to the first slide of how protein supplements kind of became more popular. So this is just a picture of Klay Thompson, a basketball player on the left, and then Miranda Carfrae running, and they are promoting a milk that is supposed to rebuild and make recovering easier. So this is just, I found these pictures and I just thought it was a pretty good example of how society may be interpreting interpreting the supplements and how they're supposed to be used, and overall just how they were presented to us. There's not very much detail or reasoning behind why we should be consuming this product. It just kind of looks like, oh, since they're doing it, we're going to advertise that other people should buy this product. And this just kind of goes back to how it's important to know what is in these products and why you're using them. And you shouldn't just get them because Klay Thompson and Miranda Carfrae have them. You should get them because the benefits that they hold in them. So some problematic products. These are some of the top-selling protein powders that have seem to have levels of heavy metals in them. So first one is Garden of Life organic shake and meal replacement, chocolate cacao raw organic meal. And second is Nature's Best Isopure creamy vanilla zero carb. Quest chocolate milkshake protein powders number 3. Number 4 is 360 Cut Performance Supplements, 360 Pro Whey Chocolate Silk Premium Whey Protein, and then the Vegas Sport Plant-Based Vanilla Performance Protein. And so when looking at these statistics and the rankings of them, the first one says meal replacement, which just kind of gives it away all in one that by even looking at this label, you would think you could just replace it for one of your meals and it would be fine. So this kind of just adds to the idea and the misguided purpose of protein powders and protein supplements and the effects it has on your diet, because you probably shouldn't be having one of these artificial protein supplements in your day-to-day meals. And I think that does sometimes get misconstrued between the use of protein and what you should be using protein for. And again, just going back to the first slide of why we have protein, what is it used for, and it definitely isn't a meal replacement, and that can be for some people who are aiming to lose weight or build muscle mass, but it does have some harsh effects on our body as a whole. So just keep that in mind. And then, for the last one, just again, seeing performance protein, going back to the 2 ads, how we saw that it was meant to rebuild. You can't guarantee that for everyone. It all just depends on the balance of protein and how much you give, and how much protein you balance between how hard you go at the gym or how intensive a workout you do, and then having the same amount of protein to balance it out is really important to keep in mind and research. So some risks. These substances have been affiliated with cancer, brain damage, and reproductive issues, and some of the heavy metals found in these products are arsenic, cadmium, mercury, and lead. So just with this, it's really important to remember that food labels can really say anything and we won't have the full knowledge on it, which is super scary. Just going off of that, just the discussions and the articles we had in class, just really paying attention to what you're putting in your body, what you're spending your money on, making sure you're fully educated on what you are eating and how it's benefiting you and the muscles in your body and the functions that your body does, because it's really important to take care of ourselves. And I just think this really reiterates the importance of food labels and making sure you really are educated about what you're eating and what you're buying. And then with that, another risk is just wasting money, because you could buy one of these products and it might end up being really harmful to you later on. So it's just really important to remember and monitor what you are spending your money on and what you know about what you're spending your money on, just in general as an overall little tip. And then plant-based products are no better for you than non-plant-based. The article Arsenic, Lead Found in Popular Protein Supplements state that plant-based proteins have higher contamination levels because the plants are especially prone to absorb heavy metals from soil. So when reading this, it just looks like such an obvious statement, because plants are especially prone to absorbing heavy metals from soil, and that just kind of makes it seem like it should be something that everyone knows, and it's really kind of scary to think that not a lot of people know about it, and it definitely should be like one of the main things that people look for when buying a protein product, because it's so risky when buying artificial protein, and just in general making sure we know what is going into our body. So I found a little diagram to kind of explain the overall gist of it, but the 3 things that kind of stood out to me was the Clean Label Project protein powder study results, and the first one is 70% of protein supplements tested had lead in them, and then the second bubble is 74% had cadmium, 55% levels of BPA was found in the little third bubble. And BPA, if you don't know, is found in plastic water bottles. It's one of the toxins. It can interfere with the hormones in our body and potentially destroy some natural hormones that we have going on there. And then the last thing is in the bottom right corner, and it's 75% plant-based samples tested positively for lead, which just further goes to show how important it is to really watch what is going into your body, because that's really scary that it's more than like 50%. Any percent at all is scary, but that's a very high percentage, and it's really, really important to know that that is going into your body. It's toxic, it's heavy metal, and it's really just not good for you. And so the next post we have is misconceptions. So I kind of just took this from like my societal thoughts, just what society kind of makes it out to be. And the first is people have a common misconception that protein is something that their body needs. Um, and it's true, because people will actively consume protein supplements not knowing the amount of artificial ingredients and not knowing the amount that they truly need, in that what they're putting in their body. So it's just a really common misconception with people, because they obviously think it's easy to make a meal out of a protein supplement, or replace it with a daily food item, which can actually lead to other harmful things in your body just by not eating food that was made for us. It's just, it won't end up well, just because our body won't be used to digesting food. It'll be used to digesting a protein supplement, which can come in the form of a drink or a bar or whatever it may be. So the next is there's also the idea that you can get the same amount of protein needed through protein supplements. So basically just the same thing. This is just why most people think they can substitute real food for artificial protein. This is a very common misconception, because it actually can just ruin the way you digest food in general, because people think they're getting enough protein and they can keep doing it and it doesn't matter, but it can actually lead to worse things. So that's another common misconception. And then there are some protein supplements out there that are safe for us to use. It's very common that people will get far over their head and overuse the product, making it very risky for their health, because again, food was made for us to consume, and there are plenty of foods out there that contain protein, and this is more of like a daily thing, like having protein for 1 to 2 meals every day for 7 days straight. I'm not saying protein is bad if you have it every once in a while, but it definitely will take a toll on your health and digestive system as well, if it becomes a routine thing, because it's just not what our bodies were really made to do. And then some examples I drew from the readings. I kind of found some here and there, and then I took some from the class discussions. There are some habits that people follow that include protein products being used to make up for a healthy diet, such as substituting it for meals and compromising their health by ruining it with an artificial product. Again, this is just what another common misconception we can find. And also the reading did talk a little bit about the habits that people will come up with and try and follow and spread around to a larger group of people. And then Dr. Allison Tedstone, PhD, chief nutritionist, said, so even if you hit the gym regularly, spending money on protein supplements is unlikely to bring any additional benefit. So I think this is just something that overall, in general, people need to know, because one, it can save you money, and two, it's not needed unless you have a balance between the amount you're working out and the amount of protein you're consuming and the amount of protein you have already consumed in that day. Because most people don't even realize that they've already hit their protein limit. And once you hit that limit, it just all gets like out of your system through urinating. And that is actually the next point that I have. as excess protein is excreted through urine, people who are consuming too much effectively flush their money down the toilet. And that's the same author, same article. So this just can reiterate the importance of understanding what you're putting in your body, because it really will, in a way, be you flushing your money down the toilet. And no one wants that. And especially if you're a college student, you wouldn't want that, because you want to save your money as much as possible. But that is another thing that I pulled from the reading that I think is super important, because a lot of people just are uneducated in general of what they need to be putting into their diet, what they need to be putting first in terms of what they're consuming. And I think it's really important to understand how your body reacts to the certain foods you're eating and how it makes you feel, and just like the importance overall of putting things that you simply need in your diet, and how it'll affect your health, your mental health, and plenty others. But I'll just go. All right, so this is just a diagram of actual foods you can be eating that aren't protein supplements, that aren't artificially made. And I just think it's really important to put it out there that there are foods that are made for us that we need to be consuming, because they have the right amount of protein in it, and they can be put with other foods that help our diet be put together, because you're supposed to have a certain amount of each, carbohydrates and proteins and fruits and all of that fun stuff. So, going off of that, it's just, I thought it was really necessary to put in the slide, because it shows you your non-artificially made options that you can have in food form instead of artificial form. And how much protein do we actually need? Protein needs range from 0.4 to 0.6 grams of protein per pound of weight a day, and that would be 64 to 96 grams per day for a 160-pound person. Obviously, this could differ from men and women, but this is just the one that I found, and I thought it was just the overall general statistics and guidance that should be put in the slide. And it's super, super, super important to know how much protein your body needs, because without the proper amount of protein, our bodies can't repair tissues, our bodies can't get, or the cells can't get the amount of nutrients that they need to work properly, and this just all kind of has a domino effect on how our body feels. And it's just super important to overall know what is going into your body and how it is making you feel and how it's affecting you. And I think throughout the course of nutrition, anthropology and nutrition, I feel like it was a very common theme to know where our food came from, with labels and the things that we're putting in our body, making sure we're paying attention to all that. And I just thought this slide was super necessary, because it's a topic that not a lot of people are educated on, and they don't really know the effects of what your body needs versus what you think your body needs. And overall, I just think it was a very important topic to touch on, because it's something that we should all worry more about, how our body's feeling, rather than hopping on the bandwagon and ruining your body for artificial protein, when you can really figure out what your body needs, how much of it needs, and the balance between your diet and working out and exercise, and how that affects your body as well.